Hey guys, it's Alex Martin, the host of Sidewalk Science Center at the Bradenton Riverwalk. So today, in today's video, I want to talk about, some of the constellations that we can see up in the sky and how you can actually use those to help yourself map out what you're looking at up in the sky and even be able to tell direction from it. So down in Florida, especially where we live near the Bradenton area, the light pollution can be pretty bright, so you can't really see too many stars. In fact, where I host Sidewalk Science Center, even though we use the telescope, when you're at that playground, you can only see about 30 to 50 stars in total. When you move out into a place that's a little bit darker, you can see upwards of some 100 to 300, 500 stars. But when you are in the darkest parts of the world, when you are so far away from any city that you don't even see like the light bubble, the light pollution above the city, you can see more than 5,000 stars at a time. And of course, looking up there, it looks much more than 5,000. But with the naked eye, that's about all that you can see. So, and that includes both hemispheres. So if you're on the northern hemisphere, you can see about 5,000 stars. If you are in the southern hemisphere, you can see about 5,000 stars. And so altogether, you can see about 9,000 to 10,000 stars from the darkest parts of the entire Earth. Of course, you add in telescopes, you add in binoculars, you can start to see much, much more that's out there. And if you have exposures on your phone or your camera, you can bring out stars that you just can't even see with the naked eye. So right now, as we're leaving, well, we've already left winter, as we're coming deeper into spring and we're moving towards summer, the Big Dipper is more visible during the nighttime. And what I mean by that is that it is reaching a higher inclination in the sky as compared to during the winter months when it's lower down closer to the horizon. And down in Florida, where we live, the Big Dipper actually passes below the horizon. It disappears for about a month and a half to 2 months during winter. But come the end of January, it reappears and it's constantly above the horizon. And then you can actually see it. You can use it to find stars like the North Star. You can use it to find the star called Arcturus. You can use it even to find the Little Dipper and the constellation of Leo. So if you're looking at the Big Dipper, if you know which way is north, you're essentially looking toward the Big Dipper. The Big Dipper, as you know, it's like that kind of spoon shape. And if you are looking at the handle part, and then you go to the cup, and there are two stars at the end of the cup. If you follow them straight down into a straight line, you'll arrive at another star, and that is Polaris. That is what is currently our North Star. Polaris isn't always going to be the North Star, and nor has it always been the North Star. We're just in a cycle right now in something called Earth's precession, where the axis of the Earth actually moves around in a circle and points in a different direction. Polaris just happens to be where the Earth's North Pole is pointing right now. So when you find the Big Dipper and you follow those two stars down, about 5 times the distance between the two stars, you'll arrive at Polaris. You'll arrive at the North Star. Contrary to popular belief, the North Star is not the brightest star in the sky. The brightest star, if you've been to Sidewalk Science Center and used the telescope, you have seen the brightest star, and that is Sirius. Sirius in the constellation of Canis Major. The brightest star is actually in the winter time. So if you know where to look to find Orion, Orion's belt points directly to Sirius. And if you've noticed the really bright planet right now, which is Venus, just after sunset you can see it, Venus outshines Sirius by a factor of 13. It's about 13 times brighter than Sirius appears. Of course, Venus is about to disappear, go into the morning time instead of the nighttime. So we're going to be losing it at a reasonable hour to be looking at it, unless you wake up really early, and then you'll start to see it before the sun rises. So let's get back to the North Star. So if you're looking at the Big Dipper and you find your way to the North Star is actually the end of the handle of the Little Dipper. So you have the Big Dipper up here, you go down to the North Star, and then you have the Little Dipper right here. And then the Little Dipper actually curves back around and points up toward the handle of the Big Dipper. So you can use the Big Dipper to find the North Star. find the Little Dipper, and then the Little Dipper points right back up. But if we go back to the Big Dipper, now let's use the handle, the curved part of the Big Dipper. There's a saying that goes arc to Arcturus. So if you go to the handle of the Big Dipper and you arc away from the cup, arc to the next brightest star that you see following that kind of curved path, it should be a yellow-orange star, and that is Arcturus. And then following that saying, it's arc to Arcturus, and then spike to Spica, or Spica, depending on how you pronounce it. So you go to Arcturus, you arc to Arcturus, and then you slide over in a straight line to this bright blue star, and that is Spica. And then you leap to Leo. So you arc to Arcturus, you spike to Spica, and then you go straight up to the constellation of Leo. Leo is pretty familiar. If you look above Spica, you will see what looks like a right triangle, and then there's kind of a box connected to it, and then there's a little tail sticking off of that box. So Leo kind of has like a tail at the end with a triangle at the front. So I'll post a picture of that here on Facebook later today or tomorrow, so you can see all these stars I'm talking about. And then from Leo, you can just go straight back over to the Big Dipper, and you've kind of made a square in the sky. And that square prominently faces to the northeast. So if you look directly in the middle of that square of that saying, you're facing northeast. So it goes arc to Arcturus, spike to Spica, leap to Leo, and then you can find your way back to the Big Dipper. So they kind of follow that square, and that's about where you'll be facing northeast at this time of the year. Of course, as the year progresses, as we head into summer, as we head into late summer, you'll be facing northwest after a time. So, with all that in mind, those are the 4 prominent constellations and stars that you can use right now to map out that section of the sky. In one of the next videos, I will talk about a couple others that we're going to be losing actually here in the next few weeks as summer, late spring and summer begin to take hold. But once you begin to recognize these shapes up in the sky, it's very, very easy to map out what direction you are actually facing. I myself love using the sun as a way to, guide myself around without a map. And at nighttime, I can, become pretty familiar with how the stars look, and so I can guide myself around, point in a certain direction, and then it's very easy to orient yourself from there. So it's not about just, there's no, you don't just know. What's the word? I cannot remember right now, but intuition, that's the word. So there's no just intuition about this. This is something that as you become more familiar and as you figure out the shapes that the constellations make, this is something that you can just learn, and then you'll be able to guide yourself with more and more accuracy, and you'll recognize, different constellations apart from each other. And even when you have a dark enough sky, you can see where the zodiac constellations are, where the planets actually pass through. So it's very cool. I definitely recommend either looking at a star chart or going outside and just finding these different shapes up in the sky. And you'll see why people, especially in ancient times, assigned, stories and figures and these different shapes to these clusters of stars, because they do look like familiar objects. So I'll leave you there for now. I'll have another update in a couple days for you, talking about some other constellations. And for now, I hope everyone is staying safe, staying healthy. Hopefully here in the next few weeks we can start Sidewalk Science Center again. And of course, as always, to all our endeavors, because we have a future to create, I'm Alex Martin. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week.